Good morning, my dearest family. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. If you'd like to take part in the greatest wealth transfer in human history, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep on coming back because I am giving you the bleeding edge alpha that will retire your entire bloodline. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's forensic pathology seminar where we unzip the cadaver of a digital asset that once called itself the standard, but now lies somewhere between a courtroom exhibit and Reddit fanfiction. Yes, I'm talking about XRP. Today we are going to we're going to obliterate the idea that XRP belongs in the same financial conversation as Bitcoin. Not because we're tribal, not because we're biased, but because there's a difference in owning the apex monetary protocol of the digital age and hoarding a glorified Chuck E. Cheese coupon that was printed like Venezuelan pesos and marketed like Herbalife. This is not a debate, this is an autopsy. We are here to scientifically prove beyond a shadow of a subpoena that XRP is a corporate loyalty scheme wrapped in techno jargon, pumped by a company that spent more time on branding decks than math. Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO, it has code, it has consensus, it has thermodynamic truth forged in the molten core of global energy expenditure. XRP, it has a mascot named Brad, a war chest of pre-mined tokens, and a legal team that probably bills more than it settles. Let's begin. Now let's talk scarcity, the foundation of any store of value. Bitcoin, 21 million coins, hard cap, mathematically enforced. You can't bribe it, print it, or community vote on changing it. The issuance rate is governed by the halving cycle, a mechanism so beautiful it makes socialist economists cry into their stimulus packages. Current inflation rate, roughly 0.6% per year. That's tighter than a Swiss vault in a banking panic. Now XRP will strap in 100 billion units pre-mined. Let me repeat that, pre-mined. Ripple Labs, an actual Delaware-registered company with a marketing department and 6 espresso machines, printed the entire supply before you even had a Coinbase account. And now, every month, like clockwork, they open their escrow piñata and dump 1 billion tokens onto the markets like it's a garage sale for digital lint. You know what that is? It's not liquidity provision, it's not ecosystem support, it's a perpetual sell wall, a digital firing squad lined up against your portfolio. It's like trying to invest in a swimming pool while the hose is still running. And they have the gall to say that they're decentralized. Please. Bitcoin's supply curve is scarce, finite, and sacred. XRP's supply curve is a corporate cap table in drag. If you're trying to decide which to own, just ask yourself a simple question. Would you rather hold a monetary instrument that people mine with nuclear-powered warehouses in the Arctic Circle, or a token that was printed in a Google Sheet and released on a schedule that looks like your Netflix subscription billing cycle? This isn't a competition, it's a eulogy. Let's talk consensus, the sacred mechanism by which a blockchain decides truth. You'd think that this would be the most important part of a monetary protocol, but in Ripple world, it's just another marketing term wrapped in corporate deodorant. Let's start with Bitcoin, proof of work, the most beautiful, brutal, physics-based consensus protocol ever devised by man. Every 10 minutes across the world, miners engage in a cryptographic arms race that costs billions in energy just to sign a single block. Why? Because when you anchor truth in physics, you don't need permission, you don't need a boardroom, you don't need a Discord mod. You get thermodynamic finality, truth sealed by Watts. It's not a governance model, it is a reality model. It dares you to attack it, and if you do, good luck outbidding a 350 exahash wall of global compute. The only entity capable of stopping Bitcoin is the sun. Now XRP, sweet summer child. The XRP uses something called the unique node list. It sounds cool, it sounds decentralized until you realize Ripple basically decides who's on the list. It's the opposite of consensus, it's linked in with validators. Their model is basically this: we'll handpick who we trust to validate our blockchain. Don't worry, it's totally neutral. Just ignore the fact that we founded it, we pre-mined it, we sell it, and employ half the people running it. This is the governance model of a banana republic that thinks it's ready for an IMF bailout. Ripple doesn't even try to hide it. It's like watching Elizabeth Holmes pitch decentralized plasma testing at a FedEx board meeting. They say they have infrastructure, but what they really have is a press release masquerading as a protocol. And when legal pressure shows up, Bitcoin keeps chugging through hash power hell, indifferent to politics, borders, and subpoenas. XRP checks Slack to see what the legal team says. Because if Brad gets a court order, they can just flip the validators. That's not decentralization, that's compliance. So to summarize, Bitcoin is an ungovernable monetary organism. XRP is a shareholder-run point system with a Twitter account. The other defends your wealth with a Zoom call and a strongly worded blog post. Let's talk regulation, the thing that either puts your assets on Wall Street or in handcuffs. First, the heavyweight champion, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a commodity. That's not speculation. That's a U.S. federal policy. The CFTC calls it a commodity. The SEC miraculously agrees. The IRS treats it like property. Hell, even BlackRock and Fidelity got the green light to launch spot ETFs on it. That means Bitcoin is the first truly sovereign asset class born on the internet, and it's already cleared the regulatory finish line. The baton has been passed. The game has begun. Wall Street is flooding in. Bitcoin is institutionalized. Not in the padded room way, in the $2 trillion global liquidity funnel way. Bitcoin didn't win approval. It survived everything. Now XRP is still stuck in a Kafka-esque courtroom drama written by a disgruntled intern at the SEC. Ripple has spent years battling securities charges like it's the final boss fight in a dystopian compliance simulator. Their defense strategy is basically, we're decentralized, we swear, also we funded it, printed it, promoted it, sold it, and paid celebrities to shill it on YouTube, but it's totally not a security. And here's the funny part, the case isn't even over. The next courtroom showdown is scheduled for June 16th, 2025. That's not a joke, that's literally next week. The entire XRP price chart is just a legal suspense thriller with exit liquidity. Can you imagine explaining that to an investment committee? Yes, sir, we're bullish on this token pending the outcome of an ongoing federal lawsuit that could nuke this project, but if we win, we moon. Meanwhile, Bitcoin ETFs are being bought by pensions, endowments, sovereign wealth funds. You don't see Qatar hedging their energy revenues with XRP. You see them buying hard assets that don't show up in court filings. XRP is the digital asset version of dating someone who's always between jobs because they're suing their last employer for wrongful termination. And this is the bull case, please. Bitcoin passed the compliance crucible. It now swims in regulated capital markets. XRP is still on trial, hoping the judge doesn't have a bad morning. So what do you want to own? Do you want to own a regulatory, green-lit, globally traded, sovereign-grade asset class? Or a token with a court date, a legal defense fund, and a marketing team praying for a verdict before the next sell-off? Let's talk about liquidity, the thing that determines whether your trade is a smooth execution or a hostage negotiation with a botnet in Korea. Bitcoin is the most liquid digital asset in the history of finance, period. $2.1 trillion market cap, over $35 billion in daily volume. CME futures, options, ETFs, and God knows what else. Traded in every time zone, in every jurisdiction, by every institution with a Bloomberg terminal and a mandate to not lose their job. It's a global monetary superhighway. Bitcoin is where price discovery happens. Everything else is just following the leader, hoping no one notices the first made out of plywood. Now, XRP market cap around $130 billion, assuming you pretend the full supply has real demand. Daily volume that collapses every time Brad Garlinghouse pauses for breath. And order books so thin you could slice ham with them. It's not a market, it's a liquidity mirage propped up by remnant retail exit liquidity in a handful of unregistered offshore liquidity providers, who go by usernames like TokenJesus93. There is no CME futures contract for XRP. There is no options market for XRP. You know what XRP has? Headline volatility. Anytime Ripple files a motion, sneezes, or loses a junior associate to a DeFi startup, the price moves 5% on air. It's not trading, it's emotional whiplash. Let's talk about exit optionality. In Bitcoin, you can execute a $50 million block trade with slippage tighter than your uncle's tax deductions. In XRP, trying to exit size like that is trying to quietly leave a Burning Man tent that's on fire. You're gonna get noticed and it's gonna hurt. Bitcoin is an ocean, deep, volatile, but built to carry whales. XRP is a kiddie pool, warm, shallow, and surrounded by influencers yelling about partnerships that never materialize. So to recap, Bitcoin traded by BlackRock, CME, sovereigns, and God. XRP traded by enthusiasts who still think Swift is sacred. If you need liquidity in a crisis, you can sell Bitcoin. If you need to write off a tax loss, you sell XRP. Let's now discuss what actually matters in capital markets. Real buyers. Because Because here's the secret, price is downstream of flows. And flows come through institutions, the only people that show up with a multi-billion-dollar check and don't need a TikTok explainer to understand custody. Let's start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has become the apex treasury reserve asset for institutions that actually matter. BlackRock, Fidelity, Invesco, Franklin Templeton, and ARK launching products and holding BTC like it's digital oil. Sovereign wealth funds have entered the chat, quietly stacking for geopolitical insurance. Corporate treasuries, Strategy, Metaplanet, Semler, all putting literal balance sheets on the hardest money known to man. And yes, pensions, the slowest, most litigation-averse entities on Earth, are getting exposure because Bitcoin passed every sniff test known to legal departments. Bitcoin is strategic allocation. The institutions aren't coming, they're here. Now XRP, yes, the banks will use XRP narrative. The story that launched 1,000 YouTube thumbnails and settled exactly 0 actual transactions. You know what XRP has? Pilot programs. Since 2016, that's almost a decade of we're testing our Bank of Bhutan's innovation sandbox. We're disrupting correspondent banking. Just wait until Q4. It's like watching the Fire Festival pitch deck get turned into a blockchain. No one's using XRP to settle large-scale cross-border flows. You know what they're using? USDC, USDT, Swift, JPM coin, literally anything else. Because nobody wants to explain to their CFO that the settlement token is also involved in an ongoing federal lawsuit and can be frozen by the issuer if it gets too spicy. Institutions didn't ignore XRP because they didn't understand it, they ignored it because they understood it perfectly. They saw a centralized token pre-mined by a private company with legal baggage and no credible decentralization. And they laughed it out of the underwriting room. Bitcoin is the apex predator of capital. XRP is an unconfirmed calendar invite from 2018. So let's be brutally honest, Bitcoin is being acquired by entities who move capital like tectonic plates. XRP is being held by people who still believe in bank partnerships and wear conference badges from Dubai 2019. Institutional adoption is a tsunami. Bitcoin built levees. XRP just tweeted about it. Let's get to the core of monetary survival, security, and censorship resistance. Because here's the thing, every asset is fun until the state knocks on your door. Bitcoin is secured by proof of work, the closest thing we have to a digital immune system powered by entropy. Every block is signed in blood and electricity. To attack Bitcoin, you'd need a nation-state budget, a year of ASIC production diverted entirely to sabotage, and even then, maybe roll back a few blocks before the network forks you out of history. That's not resilience, that's anti-fragility on crack. Bitcoin survives by making attacks so expensive they're economically suicidal. Now XRP, oh dear, XRP is validated by a curated validator list, remember? Meaning the decentralized network could be changed, frozen, redirected, or redefined based on what a few guys in khakis decide in a Monday governance sync. You know what that means? If the government asks nicely or threatens hard, Ripple could censor transactions, roll back states, or freeze tokens. The network doesn't resist power, it obeys it. This is not security, this is customer service with a blockchain attached. You don't build sovereign-grade capital infrastructure on something that can be paused like an Amazon Prime subscription. Bitcoin is immune to legal threats because it has no one to threaten. So ask yourself, do you want to store your wealth in a physics-enforced, thermodynamically sealed vault, or a chain that gets nervous when Jerome Powell coughs? One asset survives black swan events, sovereign attacks, and monetary collapse. The other just survives until the next courtroom filing. Let's talk about use case, the reason your favorite utility token supposedly has a reason to exist. This is where XRP maxis get a little sweaty and start talking about corridor liquidity optimization and settlement friction reduction like they're applying for a job at Ripple Labs. So here's the truth, Bitcoin's use case, it's collateral. Not just any collateral, pristine, unforgeable, transnational, epistemically pure. It's used in Lightning for instant cash level payments. It's wrapped and rehypothecated into on-chain finance, institutional vaults, and sovereign balance sheets. People stake their lives, nations, and entire corporate treasuries on Bitcoin. You know what XRP's use case is? Cheap cross-border transactions. How adorable. That was a fine pitch if it were 2014, but guess what? Stablecoins won. USDC, Tether, even PayPal's stablecoin, they're already doing it. And they don't need a volatile token sitting in the middle of the transaction like some kind of digital toll booth that steals value while pretending to be infrastructure. Banks will use XRP, they said, but do they? No. They settle in fiat. XRP is the demo token, the testnet placeholder, the banana in the tailpipe. It's like trying to sell covered wagons to car makers after the invention of the flux capacitor. And the worst part, they haven't even evolved. While Bitcoin has built multi-layered networks, custody infrastructure, and layered liquidity architecture, XRP just released more PDFs. If your use case depends on bank adoption and the banks still aren't using it after 9 years, maybe, just maybe, it's not the banks. Maybe it's you. So to summarize, Bitcoin is functional capital. XRP is a technical placeholder. This is where most analysts check out and think, oh, this is just vibes. Yeah, it is. And that's exactly why Bitcoin wins, because capital follows memes before it follows models. And Bitcoin isn't just code, it's a religion with a better monetary policy than your central bank. Let's start with the Lindy effect. The longer something survives, the longer it will survive. Bitcoin's been running 16 years nonstop across regulatory crackdowns, exchange collapses, media FUD cycles, global financial crises, and thousands of altcoins trying to fix it with extra features and a pitch deck. It's survived everything. XRP's Lindy tale is permanently stuck in court. Half of its narrative arc has taken place inside legal filings. The other half inside the heads of people who bought in at $3.80 and never forgave the universe. Bitcoin has become a memeplex, a philosophy, a sovereign movement, and a financial jihad against fiat clown systems. XRP is still fighting for relevance in press releases written by interns and shilled by celebrities who thought blockchain meant social tokens. Bitcoin's brand is nuclear. A single orange logo recognized by world leaders, libertarians, black market traders, Gen Z, boomers, and bored hedge fund managers. It's tattooed on human skin. It's scrawled on walls in Palestine. It's been smuggled across borders using brain wallets. It's an ideology. XRP's brand, it's a Ripple logo on a step and repeat at a fintech event in Lisbon. Bitcoin is digital rebellion. XRP is regulatory hopium with a mobile app interface. Bitcoin is untouchable ideology. XRP is legal limbo with branding guidelines. Bitcoin wins because it has gravity, narrative gravity, cultural mass. It doesn't just attract capital, it warps the monetary narrative around it. XRP is an ICO-era relic with a lingering community, some leftover sell-side interest, and a vague dream that someday, Brad Garlinghouse will win in court and everyone who held the bag since 2017 will finally be vindicated. Spoiler alert, you won't. You'll just exit into Bitcoin like you should have in the first place. My name is Adam Livingston. If you enjoyed this exorcism, please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment letting me know what you'd like to hear next. Class dismissed.